About 83% of you guys are not subscribed. Subscribing, clicking that like button, and commenting all help me out a lot in doing what I really want to do. Thank you guys so much for all your support. What is going on, guys? Rogue TCG here bringing another Yu-Gi-Oh! Not quite TCG deck profile. This is going to be Rika Pride of Plants. I already covered this once in the past, did a little bit of editing to the deck and combo lines, and I think I brought it down to 40, and I think I found a nice balance of what I like. I'm gonna go over the card by card, tell you what I think the deck does, and just give you a test hand. Give you the basic combo functionally. So this is Rika Predaplant. Probably not the best version of Rika that's going to come out when these cards do come out at the end of April. However, I do believe this is going to be a viable option. Hopefully, I like Predaplant. I like the new Rika stuff, and I really hope it works out. So I'm going to go card by card. The Rikas are all reptiles, plants, or insects that involve reptile, plants, or insects, kind of like the Tri-Brigade. Unfortunately, the Predaplants are all plants. However, we can add aspects of the reptiles and the insects and the plants otherwise from our extra deck or from other cards in our main deck. Unfortunately, we don't have any main deck insects other than our Raikia no Yahazu Kamikiri. Probably not going to be the name it translates to in English, hopefully, so it'll be a little bit easier to pronounce that. But that's enough yapping for me. Let's get into the card by card. We are on Triple Tokage, being able to special summon from our hand by banishing an insect, plant, or reptile from our graveyard. You can only summon it once per turn this way. When it's on field, you can discard one insect, plant, or reptile, target a face-up monster your opponent controls except our insect, plant, or reptile, and bounce it to their hand. Really powerful effect, being able to pitch, I don't know, for example, try to play Buy Slip in order to bounce a card, then Buy Slip, add a card, just get advantage that way. We're on Triple Mari Kube. We kind of want to open the Raikias as much as possible. However, we can do the full combo without even seeing a Raikia in our opener, which is quite nice. You can special summon this card from your hand by sending an insect, plant, or reptile monster from your hand to the grave. You can only special summon it once per turn that way. If it's no more special summon, you can add 2 Raika monsters with different names from your deck to your hand. Different 2 Raika cards, way better than just monsters, with different names from your hand, and or banishment to your hand, except for itself. Then banish 1 card from your hand. You can't special summon monsters the rest of the turn for insect, plants, and reptiles, and that's a hard once per turn. And then lastly, for our main deck Raikas, we're on 1 Kamikiri. You can special summon this card from your hand by placing one of your banished insects, plants, or reptiles on the bottom of your main deck. You can only special summon it once per turn that way. If it's sent to the graveyard as material for a link summon of Raika, you can target 1 level 4 or lower insect, plant, or reptile monster in your graveyard except for itself. Special summon it in defense. You can lose each effect of Raika no Kamikiri once per turn. Being able to summon any insect, plant, or reptile is crazy, especially being able to bring back our Predaplants is really nice. There is that level limit of level 4 or lower. However, all of our main deck is level 4 or lower except for 1 card, so it's not too big of a deal. Lastly, for our 2 main deck Rika cards left, we're on a triple of the continuous spell. We almost always try and add this off of our Marikube. All insect, plant, and reptiles gain 300 attack and defense. All other monsters lose 300 attack and defense. It has either one or the other effect. You can either add 1 Rika monster from your deck to your hand and then discard a card, or special summon a Rika monster from your hand, graveyard, or banishment in defense position. And you can use each effect once per turn. When this deck first came out, I found a lot of people were using the effect just to add a card. However, the effect to just bring back a card is really, really powerful in establishing boards. And if we've already missed our Kamikiri, for example, if we missed the effect activation, we used it for something that wasn't a Rika. Like, let's say it was for a Trap Tricks, or let's say it was for, let's say it was for Trap Tricks. Like, we can bring it back and get even more advantage off of it with that, so we can actually get that graveyard effect. And then last, we were on 1 of the searchable trap, Kubi Kari Mai. Target cards your opponent controls up to the number of insect, plants, and reptile link monsters you control of different types. Destroy them. If a face-up insect, plant, and or reptile monster you control is destroyed by a battle or card effect while this card's in your graveyard, except the turn was sent there. You can banish this card from your. You can banish this card, target 1 monster your opponent controls, and destroy it. So you can destroy multiple cards the first time and destroy 1 card the second time. But it's quite nice since it's searchable with an extract monster. So that's why we're playing 1 of it. Next, for our non-Rika, non-Predaplants, we are on 1 Serpentine Princess. We are able to search it from our deck to our hand with King of the Feral Imps. And then we can bounce it with our Raikia Link monsters in order to special summon our Kamikiri from our deck or our Orphis Scorpio from our deck, which is quite nice. Or we can summon a tuner from our deck being Rose Girl or Fairy Ant. So there's quite a few options we actually have with this card, Serpentine Princess. So we are just playing the 1 of. We're also playing one Reptilian Codal. If you control a dark reptile, we can special summon this card from our hand. Then if our opponent controls any monster with 0 attack, you can special summon up to an equal number of Reptilians from your hand. Second effect doesn't matter. It's a free summon of a level 4 tuner that's a reptile, so we can search it with King of the Feral Imps, which also is a dark reptile. So searching it with King of the Feral Imps means we immediately can summon it to make a level a Synchro 8, which we're only playing one of. So I'm going to go over that just a little. So I'm going to go over that in just a little bit. We are on 2 Fariat, the Circular Sorcerer. If an insect or plant monster is in either graveyard, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can only special summon 1 Fariat once per turn this way. If a card you control be used as Synchro material for an insect plant monster, you can treat it as a non-tuner, which is quite nice. Unfortunately, we're not playing the new card or the Synchro this is supposed to go into, but we're playing another card from Photon Hypernova that this card can go into with the Predaplants. We're playing 1 Lone Fire Blossom for our Aromaseraphy Jasmine. We're on 2 Rose Girl. If a face-up plant monster you control is sent to the graveyard, except during the damage step, you can special summon this card from your hand. If a plant monster is on the field and this card's in your grave, you can add this card from your grave to your hand. You can lose each effect, 1 effect of Rose Girl per turn and only once per turn. This is just another level 3 tuner extender that we can make with our Predaplants. That's the whole point of Fariant and Rose Girl, is they're basically 4 copies of functionally the same card. In the same situation, they do the exact same thing. So it doesn't really matter which one we draw, but we don't want to open multiples of each individual one, so that's why we're playing 2 and 2. We are on triple Orphis Scorpio, the best card in the deck, being able to basically start the entire combo with a Rose Girl or a Fariant. 2 Bi-Slip, 1 Chlamydia Sundew, 1 Hydra, basically acting as a kaiju. It's also a level 5 monster that we can summon off of Lone Fire Blossom, which is quite important. We are on, and then lastly, we're on the 1 Cobra in order to search Instant Fusion and our 1 other fusion, Predaprime Fusion. Speaking of which, we have 1 Instant Fusion and 1 Predaprime Fusion, so if that hints you in. And then for our last Predaplant card, we're on 1 Predaplanting to search with our Ambulo Melodies. We're on 1, for our non-engine, we're on 1 1-for-1 in order to get our Raika no Marikube. We are on 1 Call by the Grave for hand traps, 1 Foolish Burial in order to send a Bi-Slip or any of our Raikas. Sending Marikube is also very strong. We are on 1 Sun Avalon Bloom. It's a searchable extract card that is incredibly powerful in one of our potential end boards. 2 Skullmeister and triple Droll Lockbird. That's it for our main deck. Now onto our extra. This extra is a little bit outdated. There's definitely a couple cards in here that need to go. Like Pico can definitely go. The Trap Tricks might be able to go. But again, this is all up to your own personal deck building, how you would like to build decks. What do you want your deck to do? I want my deck to fuse and do all these different things. What do you want your deck to do? So, not counting the Insector Pico, we are on double Raika Musha Dokuro. And these 2 monsters, including an insect, plant, or reptile, so you can make it with any of the Predaplant stuff. You can target 1 Raika monster in your grave, special summon in defense. If this card's in your grave, all these Link monsters will have this effect. If this card's in your grave, you can target 1 insect, plant, or reptile you control, place it on the bottom of your deck, and if you do special summon this card, you can only use each effect of Raika once per turn. You can't special summon monsters the rest of the turn except for insect, plants, or reptiles. This works really, really well with our Serpentine Princess, having the effect of this face-up card returned from your field to your deck. Select and special summon 1 level 3 or lower monster from your deck to your side of the field. Again, targets are Kamakiri, Rose Girl, Fariant, any of the low-level Predaplants, and Marikube. So there's quite a few cards we can actually summon. Whether or not we've already accessed them that turn is a different story entirely. So that's why we have so many options. We're on 1 Jasmine, 2 plant monsters if your life points are higher, blah, blah, blah. You can tribute a monster at points, 2 special summon a plant from your deck in defense. You can only use each effect of Jasmine once per turn. If you gain life points, you can add a plant from your deck to your hand. Unfortunately, we don't really have any main deck ways to gain life. Potentially, we can work around that and include some cards, but a lot of those cards that do gain life do lock specifically into plants, or cards surrounding lock specifically into plants, so it's a little bit of a tricky slope making this deck, I believe. We're on 1 Adipus, being able to be unaffected by trap cards, and once per turn being able to target a face-up card your opponent controls up to the number of insects and plants you control, negating their effects. So again, not just monsters, face-up cards being able to negate basically your opponent's entire board when you're going second is really, really strong. And unlike the Raika trap, it also considers non-links, including fusions, which is really strong. We're on 1 Uga Minushi, Being able to banish 2 insect, plants, and reptiles from our graveyard to add 1 Rika trap from our deck to our hand. And if it's in our grave, it has that bounce effect in order to put, more like spin effect, where we spin one of our cards to bring it back, which is quite nice for link climbing. We're on 1 Dryatinary. This one's really annoying for me to pronounce. Dryatrentiae. Probably said that wrong, even worse. Needs 2+ links. If this card's link summon, you can add 1 Sun Avalon spell trap from your deck to your hand. You can't be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. You can't be targeted by attacks, but it does not prevent your opponent from attacking directly. And once per turn, you contribute 1 link monster at points to destroy any number of cards your opponent controls up to that monster's link rating, being able to functionally be a board wipe for monsters. Functionally being able to be a board wipe for monsters when you're going second, as well as adding Bloom, which now we can read it. When this card is activated, you control a link for a higher plant monster. When this effect resolves, negate the effects of all face-up monsters your opponent currently controls. Period. During the damage step, if your plant link monster battles, you can activate this effect. It gains attack equal to the combined attack of monsters it currently points to until end of turn, and it remains even if this card leaves the field. You only use each effective Bloom once per turn. You can only activate 1 Bloom per turn. The thing is, Bloom is functionally a part of planning, except Bloom needs you to have Dryatrenti or whatever it is, and part of planning needs you to have Dragostapelia. So when we're deciding our end board, we have to kind of just look at our hand and decide which is easier and more efficient to make. Dragostapelia plus our part of planning, or our Bloom plus our Dryatinary. So it's just kind of what do we prefer on making, because also our Dragostapelia has an effect on it to also negate something. So it's negating everything and then 1 additional thing, or negating everything and then gaining 1,000,000 attack. So it's just what we choose to want to do. For our last 2 Rika monsters, we're on 1 Kusarigami. It needs 2+ monsters, including insect, plant, or reptile. If your opponent activates a monster effect, you can activate this effect. Neither player can activate monster effects in the hand for the rest of the turn. If this card is in your grave, you can target 1 insect, plant, or reptile you control. Place it on the bottom of the deck, and if you do special summon this card, you cannot special for the rest of the turn, except insect, plant, or reptiles. Again, has that spin effect, and has a really good effect to prevent your opponent from activating more than 1 monster in hand for the rest of turn. Pretty decent against Snake Eye, however, it is going to need some testing in the current meta once it does come out. And then lastly, we're on 1 Rika no Dioga. It is link 5. If a monster is special summoned from your opponent's deck and or extra deck, except in a damage step, you can destroy 2 monsters on the field. If this card is in your grave, you can target the thing and then, spin it back and then special summon it. But being able to pop 2 whenever they summon something from their main or extra is really, really strong, and we do kind of want to end on this as much as possible. What I find the most consistent end board being is this plus Kusarigami or Uga Minish Sushi, and then either a Dragostapelia or a Trivertum backing it up with Preda Planning or some other form of back row. Then lastly, for our extra, let's go over our non-Rikas. We're on 1 King of the Feral Imps, like I mentioned, to search our Serpentine Princess and our Kotal, because we can just make it with 2 level 4s. 1 Diablantis, a Menacing Mantis. If it's Synchro Summon, you can send 1 insect or plant monster from your deck to the grave, up to the number of non-tuners used for its Synchro Summon. If you control this Synchro Summon monster, you can target 1 insect or plant monster you control, treat it as a tuner until end of turn. This is part of our main combo, so what we really want to be doing is we want to make Ambulo Melodies, and then we want to summon a Rose Girl or a Fairy Ant. Synchro Summon using Ambulo Melodies, plus either the Rose Girl or the Fairy Ant to make Diablantis. Diablantis to send our Marikube, and then we can bring back the Marikube by going into Musha Dokuro, and we can bring back from graveyard, search 2, and then get all of our plays going on from there. And we can do all of that with our Orphis Scorpio, which can summon our Cobra, which can add our Instant Fusion, which can special summon our Ambulo Melodies for free, which then can add our Preda Planning, and then Ambulo Melodies contribute our Cobra in order to summon our Sundew, so on and so forth. You kind of get the picture. We are on that 1 Ambulo Melodies. We're on 1 Mud Dragon because we can fuse into it with either our Sundew or we can't make it with our Prime Fusion, unfortunately, so it's mostly just our Sundew and any other plant monster that any other dark monster that isn't a plant. So we can make it with our Kotal, we can make it with our Tokage. We can make it with some of our extra cards, like our King of the Feral Imps. We can make it with our Diablantis. There's a couple cards we can make it using. We can also just summon it off of instant fusion to give targeting protection to attributes, which is also why it's so good. It's a modal card. Run then 1 Ambula Melodies, 1 Drigus Depelia, and 1 Trivertum, which is Solemn Warning for extra deck summons, which is quite nice. It also gains attack equal to the total original attack of everything with a Predator counter on the field. Pair that with Predator Planning, and it's a really, really big boy. Now for our siding is just potential cards we could be playing theoretically. We could be playing 1 Beetrooper Descent, Spell and Trap Destruction, and makes a token, which is quite nice if we control another insect with 3,000 attack. Otherwise, it just makes a token. Retaliating Sea is a pretty decent card that I'd like people to consider if they find it searchable enough. When your opponent activates a spell card that includes an effect to special summon a monster, quick effect special summon this card from your hand. When summoned this way, while it's face up on the field, any card sent to the graveyard is banished instead. Really, really strong effect. Macrocosmos on legs. So yeah, if we can find a way to search it, really powerful card. 1 Goki Pole. Technically, this can search Retaliating Sea right after I mentioned, finding a way to search it. Goki Pole used to be in the deck. If you watch one of the older deck profiles with, it was Insect Knight before, but I changed it to Black Sea Squatter. It was also in there with Resonance Insect. I personally prefer to lean a little bit more into the Predaplants and play more of the Insect style. However, again, it's completely up to personal playstyle. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. If you still are, right after this, there's going to be a quick combo tutorial with, I believe it's just going to be, it's going to be an Orphis Scorpio plus Rose Girl plus 3 random cards in hand, including at least 1 monster. So yeah, check that out right after this, and I'm going to see you guys later. Bye-bye.
Let me show you how to scratch it. Either way, destiny still arrives.
Thank y'all so much for watching the video, it really means a lot. If you want to talk to other Yu-Gi-Oh players in a competitive manner, please feel free to check out my Discord. We are still growing, but we would love to have you, and we plan to do some events sometime soon. You will also be able to do cool stuff like vote on future videos and topics of videos, so swing by sometime and check us out. I also started a Patreon, so that'll be linked in the description of my videos from now on. Donating would mean a lot and would help in producing these videos. Right now, there's only one tier, being Tier 1 Femboy. This tier includes access to an exclusive Discord channel where you'll be able to talk amongst other femboys and have access to discussions with me as well as getting a shout out in every video following your patronage. Thank you so much for all your support.